So the indie VTuber scene has been on fire for the past few months. And normally I don't really care much about it, since it usually boils down to people airing out dirty laundry and petty drama that could probably be resolved through DM. But this time it seems to be a little bit bigger than that, and oddly enough I have noticed a lack of coverage from the usual VTuber news channels. And this is the Kirsche versus Valens Vice drama. Firstly, I want to give some context as to where all of this comes from, as it seems that every day the issue keeps growing, and a good part of the drama has been wiped off from the internet when Anna decided to delete multiple of their Twitter accounts. But the good thing is that when it comes to VTubers, many of the people that watch tend to archive many of the things that have been said in case they get deleted. So I want to have this video around not only to document what has happened in the past month or so, but also to respond to a video Anna made talking about the entire issue, and maybe offer some general advice not just to Anna, but to anyone else looking from the sidelines. Now, disclaimer, I have been aware of Anna since back in 2020, and I know that they are the type of quote-unquote journalist that doesn't really have ethical standards. And what do I mean with standards? I'm basically talking about the 4 ethical standards outlined in the Society of Professional Journalists, also known as the SPJ Code of Ethics. And these are seeking the truth and reporting it, minimizing harm, acting independently, and being accountable and transparent. All of which Anna seems to have broken in the past few months, but I would go a bit more into details later on in this video. Now the history. For those that may be out of the loop, and to give some context on where it all started, this all began back in March 25th, 2024, when the so-called journalist Anna Valens showed up in Vtuber's Twitter audition announcement post asking for them to clarify if they meant for cis women when they said they were only looking to hire females. Normally that would seem like a valid question, but people who are aware of Anna will know that the question was probably made in bad faith and with the intent of creating more drama. Back in 2024, Vtubers never really replied to the question. Now fast forward to April 1, 2025. It's been a little more than a year, and Vtubers already had a successful first wave of talents, and they were opening up their new auditions for a new wave. The talents all got together to talk about the auditions, maybe give some pointers, and they also mentioned frequently asked questions, and they addressed the female issue.
We are looking for female talents. Oh, but what if I'm... Shh! Shut the fuck up! You go by female pronouns. You live life as a woman. Do you sound like a woman? Okay, we don't care about anything else. You're free to apply, ho.
Anna decided to then write their magnum opus. Basically a hit piece directly targeted at Vtubers to paint them in a bad light because Anna did not like the answer to their female question. By all accounts, this was a terrible article which got clowned on by multiple other VTubers on Twitter. Not only that, but some of the VTubers that cover drama went over the hit piece and how bad it was. I'm mostly talking about my favorite horse girl, Rima, and Elara. While both of these streamers were live discussing the hit piece, Anna showed up to their chats and they tried to hijack the whole conversation, fishing for attention, and they tried to shift the entire conversation in their favor. On April 4th, Kirsche decided to talk about the article and how bad it was. At the same time, Kirsche decided to shine a little light on Anna and who they were.
Anna is, in fact, a weird trans lolcow VTuber. That's, that actually is what they are. Apparently people have been, documenting Anna for quite a while now for doing lots of weird shit, which we'll get into in a second.
Back then, Kirsche had already been dealing with some mentally ill individuals for about a month that had been trying to cancel her due to her merchandise drop from Gamersubs. And the main people involved in this were Kirsche's top unemployed VTuber fan and Binted, and the totally not jealous German fish, Nyara. Both of whom were constantly trying to employ different methods of bad faith, lying, and guilt by association to go after her for basically not having the right opinions. All of this added to the fact that Anna often has a chip on their shoulder whenever someone talks about them. It seems that they found their new target to smear. On April 21, a new hit piece was dropped as Kirsche had left for a one-week vacation, and as her Gamersubs merchandise drop had already come to a close. This is a merchandise drop that led to her reaching 62% of the goal to getting a flavor. For Kirsche's size, this is basically huge, and she later revealed that she managed to sell over $140,000 worth of merch, which means that gamer subs earned probably twice or 3 times that amount. And to the surprise of no one, the so-called article was again poorly written and poorly sourced. This included random quotes from users in Reddit that had never watched a Kirsche stream. Many of the claims also that were used to discredit Kirsche came from Binted, her top unemployed Twitter fan. The entire article is full of instances of guilt by association and trying to paint Kirsche in the worst way possible as a way to try to create pressure in the hopes that the company would drop her. This is something that Anna later mentioned in another podcast when they referred to the whole hit piece as the GamerSubs article.
And I think this is one of the reasons why the GamerSubs article blew up.
So far, GamerSubs hasn't really said anything on the issue, and I don't really expect them to, as they often hardly ever comment on drama. Now, in April 29, once Kirsche returned from her vacation, she decided to have a stream going over Anna's absurd hit piece and some of the things that her haters have been saying on Twitter.
So that's how disingenuous this scum has been. This little fucking snake. Although, I think I'll give it a break for a bit after this. This one was the second biggest story of my career. First being my public sex piece. Pretty crazy. That's actually pretty fucking sad if a poorly researched, actually I can't even say that, it wasn't researched at all, hit piece on a minor VTuber is the second biggest story of your fucking career.
Of course, Anna did not like this. On May 8th, Anna wrote another hit piece, mainly focusing on Kirsche's and Vtubers community and all the hate comments that Anna had gotten following the 2 hit pieces. And again, the article starts off focusing on Kirsche and her sponsorship with GamerSubs, and it highlights random Reddit and 8chan posts that are hating on Anna, because of course, it's 8chan, and they hate everyone. It also features some quotes from the TVA website, which is a website that focuses on documenting and highlighting different posts, events, and different things that happen related to VTubers. Of course, one of the things that have been highlighted in this website was Anna's terrible articles. And one of those posts that Anna referenced was a post that I made back in April 2024 when I first reacted to seeing Anna Valens' name pop up in Vtubers Twitter. On May 12, 2025, and after multiple days of Anna harassing people on Blue Sky by tagging other so-called journalists and websites by trying to make this issue bigger than what it was, another Vice writer, I believe who was Anna's editor at the time, came up with a third hit piece trying to defend Anna, while at the same time painting Kirsche in a negative light based on the things some of her followers had said and done on social media. At all points, Kirsche has mentioned that she doesn't want anyone to harass Anna, but of course, this didn't stop Vice from publishing hit pieces, basically accusing her of sending her followers to harass Anna. And this magnificent article again included fabricated hate DMs on Reddit, somehow leaflets, thumbnails, reacting to another YouTube video, and all of this was done to show that poor Anna had done nothing wrong, and they were just getting attacked for simply asking quote-unquote questions. Finally, on May 13, Kirsche had someone tape a strongly worded document threatening Vice with possibly taking legal action if this continued, as she already had lost a sponsor.
Manya!
Then shortly after, in May 14th, Vice decided to take down the 3 hit pieces, but the other so-called news websites were still trying to publish articles to get Kirsche cancelled and deplatformed. After deleting their Twitter and retreating to Blue Sky, Anna decided to stream on Twitch and talk about a few things, mainly the disappointment of how things had turned out. The video was featured as a highlight in their channel, but when Anna got banned from Twitch...
Oh no! What happened? Oh no, how terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Most of their videos and those highlights went down, but luckily someone re-uploaded a copy of it to YouTube. And now I will address some of the things that were mentioned in this stream by Anna.
I can kind of see where things are going. After I deactivated my Twitter, it was like a feeding frenzy all over the internet. Like anywhere I posted, like people are showing up. Subreddits and stuff that I'll post and people show up. You know, I've had it happen in just random comments. People will come in, downvoting random stuff. My AO3 got someone like leaving a negative comment. So at this case, it's just like, look, like I see which way the wind's blowing. I know that whatever's happening now is probably gonna blow up into something bigger, and I don't want to be in the center of that. So I'm just going to be off social media.
The only way this is all gonna blow over into something bigger is if you make it into something bigger, which you seem to be doing by creating this simple video. You attacked another content creator, you tried to get them deplatformed, and you tried to get their sponsors to cancel them. This is all your fault.
I know a lot of folks have opinions about those things, and I encourage you to express your opinion and to kind of like speak truth to your political feelings and beliefs and how you feel about the matter. I encourage you to speak out. You know, I'm always been someone who's an advocate for that, and I know a lot of people feel very strongly about me right now. So I encourage you, you know, if you are feeling very strongly about everything at the moment, no matter what's happening, to, you know, speak up and speak out. I just do encourage you to do so in measured ways and considerate ways. Please understand, right, that there's a lot of eyeballs on everything around this right now. So please, please, please be respectful and considerate and measured in what you say, okay?
It's funny you mentioned that there are many eyeballs on this when you yourself are the one that caused all of the eyeballs to pay attention to what was happening. No one really knew who you were. I mean, some people did. I knew who you were, sadly. But by you creating the headpiece and by you trying to first attack an agency and then trying to attack a content creator, you created this monster. So you should stop trying to encourage people to do anything. Every time people were encouraged by you speaking out about Kirsche, they all seem to have gotten burned. This failed at such a catastrophic level that the only thing I can compare it to is the Hogwarts Legacy boycott, where a bunch of mentally ill Twitter freaks decided to harass VTubers, and well, all they did in trying to boycott the game was make it even more popular.
The harassment I'm experiencing is something that is a larger internet issue. Okay, it's about being transgender on the internet. It's about being marginalized on the internet, right? It's about also, you know, the nature of you know, when there's a clash between two people on very, very, very polar opposite sides of the political spectrum.
And that, of course, is another lie. You're lying because even Kirsche has trans people in her audience, so this is not about being trans, this is not about people attacking your gender identity, this is people attacking you for what you have done. Don't try to hide under or behind your gender identity when the problem has nothing to do with that.
There is no one out there who speaks for me, whether it's about any of these issues, and if someone claims to be speaking on my behalf, then they're wrong.
Yeah, of course, but when Kirsche's audience did something, you immediately try to pin it on Kirsche. So when you are telling people that your audience does not speak for you or no one speaks for you, then why are you going after Kirsche for things that people in her audience have said or done? You're not really using the same standards on yourself that you are using on another content creator.
Saying awful and harassing things about me, I've seen really just like, I'm very used to that kind of stuff happening, but since Thursday, it's been a little insane. Like, I've never had it this bad where it's like, you know, maybe I'll like read through a Reddit thread and I'm just seeing like someone's written like AO3 fan fiction of me as like a true villain. And it's just, it's, I believe, getting dangerous because the rhetoric is starting to get in a direction where, you know, people are getting very like, there's a clear feeling of violence coming out through the words on the screens.
You are imagining the violence because you want to paint yourself as a victim. If you had not started shit, people would not be going after you and harassing you.
I know a lot of people have very strong feelings and feel really upset that I'm going to be off social media. And here's what I do have to stress, which is you do have to speak up. You're gonna have to. What's happening is not gonna go away by saying this sucks and I'm sorry.
No, Anna, you don't have to speak up. You have to shut up and stay quiet. If you speak up, you're adding more fuel to the fire.
It is a situation where you're gonna have to speak up. I'm not saying that folks should put themselves in harm's way or put themselves in the fray, but I appreciate the kind words, but this is about someone actively being targeted by a harassment campaign, and one of the only ways to stop that harassment is to actively stand up to it and say, you know, not allowed in our space, not allowed in our community. What are you doing here? This isn't appropriate.
There's no such thing as a common VTuber space. Kirsche has her audience, Kirsche has her space. You have your audience, you have your space. And at no point did both communities or both spaces overlap until you started to make it your own business and trying to go into another person's space by trying to get them canceled. And don't try to get other journalists or people to fight your own fight, because again, this is a problem that you created.
If you're upset that I have to take this time for myself, that I've been, you know, pushed, bullied, harassed out, you are gonna have to do something if you want me back. Because I can't go back if this is the climate now, you know? If everywhere I post on the internet is just gonna be people yelling at me all the time, I'm not gonna be able to be on the internet, right? I can't.
If you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. Again, this is a problem you yourself started, and this is a problem that it's gonna follow you even if you try to hide. And at no point have these content creators called for help or have called for people to defend them, yet here you are trying to do that. You're the one causing harassment, you're the one inciting harassment, you're the one creating a problem. Kirsche and the Velour girls have had to deal with harassment, and they are still streaming, they are still posting on social media, yet you, the one that caused the whole problem, is now crying and hiding.
Like, you are going to have to alert communities that you're in and Discords and you and people that you know, say, hey, this fucked up thing is going on. It sucks. Like, this has to be a call to action. It has to motivate you to do something. Because unfortunately, you know, people all the time, they, you know, they're like, oh, slacktivism, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, there's a lot of cases where slacktivism does nothing. But the online realm, when it comes to like these online sort of issues popping up, especially when someone is dealing with like very clearly like discriminatory harassment and abuse based on like their gender identity, you do have to speak up. Like, you do have to do something. Like, you do have to warn people and let people know.
No, you don't have to do anything, Anna. People should stay in their own lane. And when people stay in their own lane, nothing bad really happens. It's not that common for people to go out of the way and harass another community or another content creator. So stop encouraging other people, stop asking people to engage in activism when it comes to VTubing. Stay in your lane and nothing bad will happen, which is something you did not do.
I'm really not the type to be like, I'm sorry, but like, you're gonna have to do something. But I'm a journalist, okay? Like, if I can't be on Blue Sky and Twitter because of this stuff, someone with like 5 followers who gets caught up in like a hate mob like this is absolutely not going to. So you are gonna have to speak up and do something.
You're encouraging the person with no following to get basically into activism and to fight the fights for you when they themselves don't really have a platform. You're the one causing problems. Again, stop encouraging people to fight your fights for you. And there are many other journalists out there who have faced harassment and, well, they either lock their accounts or they go silent for a while. I'm not sure why you cannot do the same.
And I especially stress that to members of the media because I do see a lot of colleagues who are radio silent on this. And I understand why you don't want to get in the crosshairs, right? I respect that. But this kind of harassment's not going anywhere. And it's going to come for you under things that are not so blatantly political in nature.
Stop trying to get other people in the media involved. This is a you problem. So far, everyone who has written articles based around this whole story you yourself created have had to take them down because they found out or they realized that you were in the wrong. You were the one that started this problem. You were the one that started the harassment. And now you're the one that cannot end it. Anna, clearly you have not really learned anything from this. And once the heat dies down, I have a feeling that you will be back to doing the same thing that you got hate for. Hell, you seem to have now switched to trying to go after Asmongold. And it's impressive how at no point you see how hypocritical your actions have been, where you constantly use tactics to try to attack someone, and when people use those same tactics against you, mainly guilt by association, you don't really seem to acknowledge it. You have somehow managed to violate every single one of the main points of the journalism code of ethics with your little stunt. So, seeking the truth and reporting it, well, You did not seek the truth to report it. Instead, you stirred the shit pot and tried to quote yourself a year later as some sort of proof of evidence.
I didn't see any trans VTubers complain.
Not only that, but you also lied about the Allure's statement about including trans talents. Minimizing harm. Your first Allure hit piece was meant to ruin the reputation of a well-loved company and its talents that belong to it just because you have a problem with them not answering your question, and then because apparently the corporation did not appeal to your specific fetishes.
But because Allure isn't like Hololive size, Vice is like, yeah, I can try and stick a bunch of normies against this company that I have a personal vendetta against.
And then your other hit pieces solely focused on trying to deplatform a content creator and to get their sponsors from dropping them because you don't really agree with them politically and because they made fun of your god-awful attempts at journalism. Acting independently. Well, you tried to use your position as a journalist for Vice to get other people to join your little shit crusade against a content creator. Some of them have written their own terrible articles sourcing your garbage. If you have garbage to source, the end product is even more garbage. And being accountable and transparent. At no point have you been transparent with your involvement in all this. At no point did you look to correct the lies you published. And at no point did you try to follow the same standards you used to attack another content creator. And your little audio is proof of that, where all you have done is try to run away and hide while you ask other people to do the dirty work for you and continue your little gay war. Now, not only did you fail as a journalist, but your actions have only helped harm others that got caught up in this. You have been brigading people to drop gamer subs, so you can then use them as ammo to somehow imply that the brand is taking financial damage. Or you have been pushing people into getting so riled up that during their attempts to cancel someone, they start saying slurs on social media and they end up getting dropped by their own sponsors. Your little camp has also tried getting Joe Cat to drop gamer subs, which he was not even sponsored for, and has been actively trying to get other GamerSub's partner creators to drop the brand. This includes people like Kaio, the well-known gay racist, Rin Penrose, and Heavenly Father, who called you out when you tried to weaponize his response. Also, this has led to additional hit pieces trying to drag other people into the mess. People like Nax and Coefficient, who are two content creators that are VTuber adjacent and mainly just react to clips, but don't really have any links to Kirsche. You have been constantly using your identity as both a weapon to attack others and as a shield to cry out when others fight back, something which only helps damage the general reputation of other trans VTubers that have nothing to do with this mess. And I have another question for you, Anna. With the way you have acted towards Allure, do you really think that they would want to pick up a trans content creator? No. You have also endorsed people who were talking about reporting Kirsche's Twitch channel because she read your erotic fanfiction, which later then caused people to look into your own Twitch channel and for them to notice that you have been also creating not safe for work fetish content, which ended with Twitch banning your channel also and caused you to lose the majority of your VODs and highlights. From the journalist side of things, many people that came to your defense have taken your words and just ran with them, basically just running with the lies, to the point where an ex-journalist had to come out and make a video calling out their old company, Sportskita, out for outright publishing lies.
The fact of the matter is that what this title is saying is false. This is written by Richik Bhattacharya. Let's go to the clip that we see that supposedly defends them.
Additionally, you somehow managed to get the attention of two journalists, Katie Herzog and Jesse Single, who talked about this whole issue on their podcast, Plug and Reported. And they mainly focus on how terrible of a job you did as a journalist throughout this whole retarded crusade.
So this is like the classic thing for certain types of journalists where they create a controversy
Yes.
to write about it, basically?
Yes.
Or it comes across that way?
Yes, it does seem that way.
You, as a tourist, decided to weaponize the so-called VTuber community to attack another content creator. And I call you a tourist because clearly you don't seem to know much about VTubing despite being a VTuber yourself.
Now, again, fair enough if you don't like lolicon content. I don't either. But one of the easiest marks of tourism that you can spot is if, one, people don't recognize the difference between lolly and lolicon, and two, they go with the whole lolicon is CP type thing, right?
You fail to realize that there is no such thing as the VTuber community for you to weaponize. You also fail to realize that whenever you try to harm a company or a content creator for personal reasons, their community will fight back, they will criticize everything you say, and they will dig up any sort of dirt they have against you. And this is something to really think about, Anna, as you have an entire dump truck of self-published dirt for people to dig through and throw back at you. Any hate or harassment you have gotten has been self-inflicted. At the end of the day, no one really cares that you are trans or not, and no one really cares about your weird fetishes either. But when you try to cancel other people, their fans will try to start digging for all the garbage you are guilty of. By creating the Velour headpiece, you essentially created a huge dumpster fire in the middle of an empty parking lot, which got everyone to pay their attention. The same dumpster you have placed there over a year ago. And then you proceeded to spread the fire to another content creator by constantly calling them out, tagging their sponsors, and calling for others to do the same. In the process, you burned yourself and you hurt other people around you, and now you are crying over it. Just like Klaus, who had been tagging Kirsche sponsors for a while now. And now him trying to start shit with Asmongold, looking for attention, only for Asmongold to notice him, and he's now crying that he's getting harassed because he doesn't feel safe. Which is something that you are now trying to weaponize yet again. You are basically like cancer spreading around, trying to tag other news outlets to paint Asmongold as a transphobic Nazi, in the attempt to create a story and more drama. Repeating again the same shit you did with Kirsche, in which you failed horribly. Also, so much for staying off of Blue Sky. It's pretty pathetic that you cannot even keep your own word. My advice to you would be to just either focus on your content and try to grow from that, or just simply
Stop it. Get some help.
I fucking hate journalists so fucking much. I like seethed in the work Discord about this already, so I don't quite need to get it out of my system here. But that was so fucking cringe.